The reason why we need to be reminded of God's love for us is because this is one area in our life that is constantly under attack. Constantly under attack. Because the devil loves to remind us that we are not loved by him. We don't qualify for his love. We are undeserving of his love, especially when we fail spiritually, morally, in our character. Especially for a Christian who has setbacks in their character, he then comes in like a flood to remind you and me, this is exactly why God doesn't love you. You're not worthy of his love. You're not worthy of all that Christ has done. You are a nobody. God does not love you. And Paul goes into great detail to explain to the believers back then and to you and me that there is nothing that can ever separate us from the love of God. And listen to what Paul says before he gets into this whole spiel about nothing can separate us from the love. Listen to verse 33. This is what Paul writes, and he says, "Who shall bring a charge against God's elect? It is God who justifies. Who is he who condemns? It is Christ who died, and furthermore is also risen, who is even at the right hand of God, who also makes intercession for us." Two questions he asks. Who is it that brings a charge against God's elect? Who is it who condemns, he says. Now you and I both know the answer to that. Who is the one who brings a charge against God's elect? It's the devil. Who is it who condemns us all the time? It's the devil. And Paul gives answers to both those questions. He says the devil has no right to charge God's elect. Why? Because it is God who justifies us. And then he says he has no right to condemn you and me. Why? He has no right to condemn you and me because it is Christ who died. And because he died and rose again and now is seated at the right hand of God, and he's not just seated at the right hand of God, he is interceding right now for you and me. And that's why Paul says he has no right to condemn. He has no right to bring a charge against us. This is how the whole thing started with Paul. As he's writing this, he's getting riled up because there was a spiritual attack upon Christians then and still today, that the enemy brings condemnation, a sense of, I am not deserving to be a Christian. I don't deserve to be loved by God because of what I did, what I said. And this condemnation weighs so heavily on people. And as they listen to the lies, he draws them away from God. And Paul says, careful. Nothing can separate you from the love of God. Not what you have done. There's nothing that can ever separate you from the love of God.